So the origin and concept of book publishing. Well, long before the coming of printing press, books were made of vellum, which is calf or lamb skin. A vellum is a calf or a lamb skin. That was what they used before printing press began. So, because of its durability, in San Simeon, also known as Hertz Castle, so San Simeon is another name for Hearst Castle. You know, the man Hearst was the one that contributed a lot to the yellow journalism newspaper, I think. So there are lampshades that William Randolph Hearst had made from 15th century. Gregorian prayer books, and the vellum is still in excellent condition. That's awesome. So one notable historical figure in the printing world was Gutenberg. Gutenberg. In 1452, Gutenberg conceived of the idea for movable type. In his workshop, he brought together the technologies of paper, oil-based ink, and the wine press to print books. The printing press was not a single invention. It was the aggregation in one place of technologies known for centuries before Gutenberg. So one important figure in printing press is the man Gutenberg. So don't forget in case. So one thing to remember is that Gutenberg got credit for an invention that was thought to have been developed simultaneously in Holland and in Prague. So the same invention that Gutenberg got popular for, in Holland and in Prague, we have some people who also invented the same thing. So other inventions brought together by Gutenberg in his pursuit of a printing press. He did something called the adaptation for printing, the adaptation for block print technology, and then the development of mass production paper making techniques, all by Gutenberg. The development of oil-based ink. In fact, just remember something about the man Gutenberg tomorrow. Development of varieties of things that helps in printing, in printing press. Okay, sorry guys, I think that is my network. That is network. I hope it's getting better now. That should be network. Or is it only Fatima Husseini's site that is having that? So let's see. The first books to show, okay, let's read this because no, they are very funny. These technologies or technological improvement stretch across 5 centuries. All those technologies developed by Gutenberg that we're mentioning above, they stretch across, that means they were relevant for about 5 centuries. So the first books to show up in print shops were Bibles and religious tracts. The first books to show up in print shops were Bibles and religious tracts. So the next books to attract publishers were the humanist texts brought back from Byzantium by the Crusades, another text of the antiquity, but there was little or no printing of new ideas. Okay. My voice is still cracking. All right. So let's go back to our system. Who is ready to take? I think I'll need to mute everybody the way we normally do. So if you are available to take this next section, let me know. I can see Abidemi here, Ayomide. Okay, Oyebanjo is back. Oyebanjo, kindly take that this part. Oyebanjo, mute yourself. All right.
7th to 13th century. This is the earliest manuscript book production when Bibles and other religious publications were made. Books in this period are entirely constructed by hand and are largely religious texts whose creation is meant as an act of worship. Number two, 13th to 15th century. This is the era of secular book production, the secularization of book production. Books are beginning to be produced that Books are beginning to be produced that do not serve as objects of worship, but that try to explain something about the observable world. The difficulty with the spread of such knowledge is that production is still taking place via pre preprint manuscripts method. The production of secular books was driven by two things.
Pay attention to that,
One,
please, everyone.
the production of secular books was driven by two things. One, the rise of universities in Europe spreading from Italy. Two, the return of the Crusaders in the 13th century, who brought with them texts from Byzantium. These these books written during the Greek and Roman period in history focused on this world concerned. Number three, which is the 15th to 16th century, the first book, the first of traditional works like the Bible, books of that's the prayer books, and the religious calendars. 10th century, new information is put into books that have important consequences for European life and society. So that brings us to definition of book paper. Paper is a general term used to describe a type of paper suitable for printing, especially offset printing. Below are more specific definitions of various kinds of book paper. Should I continue, sir?
Continue, ma.
Book paper. This can have many different finishes and may be coated or uncoated. Premium book paper is also called Bible grade. Premium book Premium book paper is also called Bible grade. More opaque, right? Am I correct?
More?
More
Yeah.
opaque,
No, opaque.
okay, more opaque than bound paper and
No
good
need
for
to put it
two-sided.
there. It's opaque. That is the opposite of transparent. That's something is. They are just telling you
Okay,
to tell you how
more,
deep it is. All right, continue.
more opaque than bound paper and good for two-sided printing. Book paper is also characterized by excellent fold has a basic size of 25 times 38 and the basic weight range from 22 to 150 IBS. Offset papers are especially suitable for offset printing due to increased resistance to water and picking. So Bible paper. This is a thin, lightweight, opaque printing paper with a basic size of 25 times 38. It is generally made from 25% cotton and lining rags or flax in combination with chemical wood pulp. pulp. Bible paper typically has a long life. Bible paper is a premium grade of book paper. The name of Bible paper comes from it being the type of paper commonly used for Bibles. Print, newsprint. It is an inexpensive, mechanically ground wood pulp rather than chemical pulp. Newsprint has a shorter lifespan than other papers, but is cheap to produce in bulk and is the least expensive paper that can withstand normal printing processes. Newsprint has a basic size of 24 times 38. Newsprint is the type of paper used for newspapers and may also be used for comic books. Some newsletters and comic books from newsletters and trade magazines and buy, sell, trade, classified AD weekly. Cover paper. Cover paper is the term for a heavy stiff paper with a basic size of 20 times 26, the same colors and finish. It is also as card covers, file folders, presentation folders, greeting cards, business cards, postcards, and bro brochures. I don't know.
Brochures. Those are brochures.
Let me pronounce that word.
Those are brochures. You use them like
Brokers.
if you want to join an institution newly, probably no. We have our brochures that contains everything about the school, where the school started, all the departments we have in the school. You understand? So that is what itself. All secondary schools too, like all these government schools, they also have their own brochures that you can just go through it to know the overall or an overview of what the institution is all about. So another name for cover paper is what? Card stock.
Cover
It's
paper.
very important. It's card stock. So understanding book publishing and its terminology. So we're going to check some terms that are used in book production. But let's take this the definition. Let me quickly take this. Then the next person will take the next part. So book publishing could be defined as a professional activity involving the selection, development, and editing of manuscripts, contractual agreements with authors or copyright holders, production and marketing of printing books under the firm's imprint. That is all story. Now, the online dictionary defines publishing as the process of production and dissemination of literature or information. That is by Wikipedia Online Dictionary. Traditionally, the term refers to the distribution of printed works such as books, the book world, and newspapers. That is what publishing means. So publishing includes the stages of the development, acquisition, copy editing, graphic design, production, printing, and its electronic equivalents. So everything that has to do with you bringing a book into light is a work of publishing. So book publishing terminologies, the things you meet in the publishing industry. And sometimes you even see them on some books or at the back of some books. You may not know what that means. Who is the publisher? The publisher is the person, organization, or company that finances the book. You need to know this thing even aside preparing for exam. You need to know them as a mass comm person. So when you hear it tomorrow, you don't look like, what is the meaning of publisher? No. Who is a publisher? The person, organization, or company. That means a publisher is not only a person. It could be an organization. It could be a company. Anybody that stands in the position of financing a book and controls the editing, the designing, the printing, and marketing of that book is a publisher. So the publisher is the risk taker. Another name for the publisher is what? The risk taker, and owns the physical books. So money flows in one direction and one direction only, from the publisher to the author, normally in the form of royalties on sales, which means the author is the one with the idea printed in the book. The process of bringing that idea into book is the work of the publisher. So how does the author make money? Money comes from the publisher. So the publisher is one that does everything and even the marketing. So he's going to give token to the author, and the token received by the author from the published material is what we call royalties on sales. Please note that. Then self-publisher, another one. This is when the author doubles as the publisher. When you are both the one with the idea, the one that wrote the idea down, and the one who published it, you are a self-publisher. Then the producer is also another terminology in this field. Who is a producer? A book producer handles any or all aspects of putting a book together and getting it printed. This includes editing, designing, typesetting, scanning, and image preparation, digital page composition, obtaining printed codes, and working with the printer. All these falls under the producer's work. So what of vanity publishers? Who are vanity publishers? A vanity publisher is a company that puts out books under its own imprint, but actually requires authors to pay the entire cost of production. They are truly vanity publishers. They are truly vanity publishers. Because what is the work of publishing when it is the author that will pay for the whole thing? So it's a company that put out book under its own imprint. You understand? But actually requires the authors to pay the entire cost of production. That is a vanity publisher. These ones, they have the machine and everything, but everything they will spend in publishing the book, it is the author that will pay for it. It's not like the normal publisher where they have everything. They are the one that will do everything. So when the money comes in, they just give a token to the author as royalties. So that is a vanity publisher. Then we have a subsidy publishing or subsidy publishing. Subsidy publishing. What is subsidy publishing? This is a gray area between true publishing and vanity publishing. So it's in between publishing itself and vanity. You already know what vanity publishing means. So here, the author makes a contribution to the cost of publishing the book, although the author and the publisher are really co-publishers. Usually, only the publisher's imprint appears on the book. So the author normally receives a higher royalty than in the true publishing model. Now, why the normal publishing or a publisher? You understand? They are the one that show that everything. They sell the book in their name, in their imprint and everything. So the author gets token. It doesn't contribute anything than give them idea, than give them the manuscript. So the subsidy publishing is a form of collaboration where the author will give a percentage of the amount needed. In this case, it's not the author alone that will show that everything, and it's not the publishing company or organization alone that will show that. So they will ration it. In this case, the amount that will be paid to the author when they start making sales from that material is not only a token, like in the case of the author that did not contribute anything. So the gains will also be rationed. That's what they're saying. Then the printer, of course, even in the dream, you will know who a printer is. Now, a printer is he who prints and usually binds the book. It is as simple as that. That's all you need to know about a printer. So we will now go to the book distributor. They are telling you everything about a book now. You know, we have been studying about the book. We've talked about the history, the printing press, and the rest of them. That is to tell you that after this course, when you hold a book, you should understand beyond the paper you are holding and the content in it. You should know how this thing in your hand, called a book, how it came into being, how many people must have contributed into getting this thing done. And even you yourself, when you have a vision of making books, of writing books, not making books, of writing books in the future, you already have a background now of what will happen for a book to be done. So it helps you to have a picture of what you are expected to do. So a book distributor is the one who acts as the link between the publisher and the retailer in cases where the publisher does not want to be involved in shipping books. So they are the one that helps the book to leave the publisher to the people that need to read it. Then we have the book pack. The book pack is an eligible trade book packaged. So it's an eligible trade book packaged and sold together with a non-book item, such as a CD or a toy. Exception: books sold with a CD inside the cover that is not visible from the outside are not considered book packs, but as regular books. So this set of people are the one that packs all other items that makes the reading of the book fun. They pack it together with the book. Then we have children's book. Children's book. Now, a trade book published for the children or young adult market, including picture books, easy to read books, chapter books, and young adult books. Educational books intended for elementary school students are also considered children's book. You should know the ones that fall under that category. Then co-publishing. What does co-publishing mean? It's a joint financial investment by two or more publishers to conceive, produce, and print under their respective imprint individual titles or collections to be sold in their respective markets, provided all other eligibility criteria are satisfied. What they're saying is, if there is a possibility of producing a massive type of production where a single publisher will not be able to shoulder the responsibility, they will call in other publishers and then they will do a joint work. That is co-publishing. So educational book, of course, under educational book, we should know that there are instructional materials that aid learning. So new edition is the publication in modified form of a book previously published by the same or a different publisher. You know what new edition means now. At least you watch new series in movies, so you know what new edition of books also means. Something new has been added, or something has been changed, or some corrections has been made, or a new idea has been bettered. So a new edition will be released. Okay, non-print material. Non-print material are audio tapes, audio CD, CD-ROM, ebook, or similar products. This question came out exactly in 2025 second semester, that the following are dash. Sorry, audio tapes, audio CD, CD-ROM, ebook, or similar product are known as dash, non-print material. So we have own titles. Own titles are titles for which the publisher holds publication, development, and marketing rights for its own market. Reference year is the publisher's financial year that it's aid to publisher's application. What is this? What did they write here? Wait, let's read this. Is the publisher's financial year. This book needs editing. That its aid to publishers application, in fact, they are confusing my head, is based on the used, so it's based on and which is used to complete the application form. Reference year, the publisher's financial year in which, okay, that is used to aid the application process. The publisher's financial year used in aiding the application process, to complete the application form or whatever. So scholarly book, a book based on research that makes a significant contribution to the development of knowledge. That is scholarly book. Self-published title, a publication written by authors who are shareholders or owners of the publishing firm. So if you have a publishing firm and you wrote a book and you publish it, you are a self-published person title. So trade book, what does trade book does? A trade book is a book intended for the public in general, including literary works, how to books, those are do-it-yourself books, dictionaries, encyclopedias, and reference works intended for professionals. Vanity title, a publication dependent on a financial contribution from or an initial purchase by the author. Vanity title. So, what are the steps in book publishing? What are the things you go through to publish a book? 1, submission by author or agent. Before the publisher will move on or swing into action, they must have a submission, the manuscript submitted by the author. That is step 1. Acceptance and negotiation. Then the publisher will accept the material or the submission or the manuscript submitted by the author. Then when they accept, the next thing is to negotiate. How do we go about the money, the monetary aspect, the profit, the gain, the production cost? Are we taking it alone, or is it going to be a vanity title stuff, or is it going to be a co-publishing, or is it going to, understand? That is where it's going to be decided. Then the editorial stage, where editing comes into space. So after the author has submitted, the publisher has negotiated and accepted it, the submission, then the editorial stage, those that will edit the book. Then the pre-press. Now, this is the pre-press. What does that mean? Let's take a bit on this. When a final text is agreed upon, after they've done all the editing, the next phase is design. Okay, pre-press is design stage. This may include artwork being commissioned or confirmation of layout in publishing. The word art also indicates photographs. In publishing, the word art also indicates photographs. Don't forget that statement. So typesetting comes into space under that point. And you should know that the first period of book publishing was in the 13th to 14th. If you see the way they arrange it, they say 13th to 14th, 15th to 16th or so. I think about 3 of them, don't forget. So that is all we have done in this unit. What is the next thing they have there? So what you will do tomorrow before the exam is try to read unit module 1 on your own. That is all you need to pass the exam after all we've done already. So broadcast media, this is 11. I will release you guys now because you have 2 papers tomorrow and you have 1 in the morning, right? You have 1 in the morning. I need you guys to relax your brain. Don't stress yourself much. If you have truly read Mac115, Mac117, Mac117, even Mac121 and the rest of them, you will do well in this one. You just need to calm yourself. Know general knowledge enough. Try to expand your level of general knowledge. So this is where I will stop with you guys so that you have time to go through summary on your own. The only thing you need now is summary. After all you've done now, just try to go to summary, before the exam, both the 115 and 111. Try to go through summary to get some other points we might have left off in this our own reading. So it's going to help you. And make sure you sleep early. You have exam tomorrow. Please sleep early. Don't overread. Whether you overread or not, you will still get what you will get. I will tell you that thing, but I don't want to tell you guys from the beginning. Whether you overread or you less read or you don't read at all, what you will get is what you will get. So thank you guys. I will leave you guys. Well, broadcast media, radio and television, print media, newspaper, magazine, books. That is the summary of this whole place we've done tonight. For the print media, you have the books, the magazines, and the newspaper. For the broadcast media, we have radio and television. Well, a lot, not so much under radio, just some history, and then don't forget the man that we usually okay, the man that developed telephone, Alexander Graham Bell, telephone in 1876. Samuel Morse developed the telegraph in 1844. Those are important things you can pick from this place. Then Heinrich Rudolf Hertz successfully transmitted electromagnetic waves without any form of conduction. They asked this question last semester. The man's name is Heinrich Rudolf Hertz. He was one that used electromagnetic waves without any form of conduction. And then the radio itself, you can attribute the development of radio itself. There are quite a lot of names here, which they may like to test you. So I will say that make sure you read about radio media on your own. That if you have time, you will have time. Oh no, 8:30, 11. There won't be time. There won't be time. So anything you grab tonight before you sleep is likely going to be all you will need. You write. Okay. All right, no problem. Okay, let me give one more person a chance to read in the next 7 minutes that we have. Let that person just read to us until the time elapses. So anything we get from radio and television, we'll take it home like that. So who is there? Who is ready to take that for us? You can raise up your electronic hands if you're interested. Okay, Oyebanjo, want to read it. You can unmute yourself and go on.
In 1906, the Forest perfected the audio tube, which became the vacuum tube, making possible the clear transmission of voice and music. On Xmas Eve, which is 1906, Reginald Fassington made what is generally regarded as the first broadcast. Greater success came with the replacement of Fassington's primitive telephone microphone with the Forest audio tube, which offers for greater fidelity of sound. A series of broadcasts followed and a series of broadcasts follows and radio began to gain ground. In 1912, the sinking of the Titanic foregrounded the potential of wireless as a lifesaver. When the rescue operation was coordinated by David Sarnoff of Marconi Wireless Telegraphy. Much credit for the development of radio as a national entertainment, news, and commercial medium goes to David Sarnoff. Sarnoff as an assistant traffic manager in Marconi Company in 1918 and 1916, recognized the potential of radiotelephonic long before others in the field did. He wrote, "I have in mind a plan of development which would make radio a household utility in the same sense as the piano or phonograph. The idea is to bring music into the home by wireless." In 1920, Westinghouse engineer Frank Conrad began broadcasting phonograph music over the transmitter in his Pittsburgh. Am I correct?
Yeah,
Pittsburgh, right?
continue.
In his Pittsburgh garage as part of his experiment in radiotelephonic. The popularity of Conrad's broadcast prompted Westinghouse officials to formalize the programming transmitted over station. KDK, KDKA and stimulated a demand for receivers. The station began on November 2, 1920, with a broadcast of the results of the Hardin Coast presidential election. People soon flocked to local departments stored to buy primitive crystals receivers. Other radio stations were established. AT&T signed WAC on the air but sold it to RCA in 1926. Out of that sales came NBC. NBC operated two networks until 1943, which one was sold, which became ABC. Two others, CBC and Mutual, also were part of the development of early commercial radio. For non-commercial stations, the National Public Radio began regular programming in 1971.
All right, thank you. So the National Public Radio began regular programming in 1971. Mm,
Who is it?
Hold on. So I want to see if we can pick something here before we go. We have just 2 minutes. I want to see if there is anything that this place is full of names and years. These are potentials for questions. Okay, landmarks in radio history, discovery of electromagnetic induction by Michael Faraday in 1831, an important statement. William Henry Watt in April 1872 received U.S. patent 126,356 for radio development. Well, Maxwell equations were developed by James Clerk Maxwell, and between 1861 and 1865, James Clerk Maxwell made experiments with electromagnetic waves. In July 1872, Marlon Loomis received U.S. patent 129,971 for a wireless telegraph. This patent utilizes atmospheric electricity to eliminate the overhead wire used by the existing telegraph system. Wow. So, towards the end of the 1875, while experimenting with the telegraph, Thomas Edison noted a phenomenon that he termed etheric force. Etheric force. Between 1893 and 1894, Robert Landel de Moura, a Brazilian priest and scientist, conducted experiments. He did not publicize his achievement until 1900. And then in 1878, David E. Hughes was the first to transmit and receive radio waves when he noticed that his induction balance caused noise. So the first man to transmit radio waves, David E. Hughes or Hughes. So our time is up. Just try to read any other thing you're able to read for the material. Don't think you read everything. It's very bulky. Anything else you're able to read it, and I believe you guys will pass. Do have a wonderful night, and wish you good luck in your exams tomorrow.